African countries today are facing a big challenge of food security and in terms of hunger and poverty. And methyl bromide is a substance. It's probably the only ozone depleting substance which is related to the food security, which is related to the agricultural productivity, and it is important for the health of farmers as well. Till now, since beginning of 1990, the African countries have done the excellent job in phasing out methyl bromide from agricultural sector, particularly in a soil fumigation to the great extent. The phase out is not complete. As of 2005, 20% of the total methyl bromide baseline consumption has to be phased out, but definitely African countries have done much better than that. There is definitely a challenging issue of sustaining that achievement up till now. This is probably the only sector in ozone depleting substance where the reverse could be easily possible. That's because if farmer is not using the soil fumigation today, tomorrow it is very easy for any farmer to start using methyl bromide because you don't require for such kind of a change any special precaution. I'm sure the African countries don't want to use methyl bromide again, but there could be circumstances by which such possibility could be forced on them. And one of such possibility could be that the African countries do not get the alternatives, but there is a pressing need for the production of the food. Second could be the continued production of methyl bromide in the world can have a pressure on a consumption in Africa, and there could be overselling of the methyl bromide production in Africa. Knowing that the African countries do not want to use methyl bromide, and knowing that they are convinced that the methyl bromide alternatives are as effective as methyl bromide itself, what is needed to be done is that the alternative use should be now institutionalized in African countries. It should be institutionalized in farming practices, it should be institutionalized in agricultural universities, in textbooks, so that the future farmers, the trained farmers, educated farmers which will come out of the universities would know very well that the methyl bromide is a harmful substance. It not only affects the ozone layer, but it affects the health of the farmers, and getting rid of it will have a multitude of benefits. So the sustainability is important, and that sustainability measures are not yet in place, and there is a lot to be done. And probably United Nations Environment Program is planning to develop various measures to make sure that such sustainability of methyl bromide phase out does take place. The increase in a QPS use in Africa have various reasons. One of the reasons could be that the country which is importing the agricultural products which are produced without use of methyl bromide in Africa could be subjected to the methyl bromide, could be required to be treated with methyl bromide before they are shipped. So the regulations of the other countries could be one of the reasons. The other reasons could be the diversion of use of methyl bromide from the soil fumigation to the QPS due to the compelling need for the farmers to utilize such methyl bromide in in a QPS use. Today we do see that the consumption in a QPS in African countries is rising, whereas the soil fumigation use, such consumption is decreasing. And this is sort of a trend which concerns particularly the emissions of methyl bromide into the atmosphere, and also that the African countries tomorrow may not be able to meet the compliance if the control measures under the QPS starts. So I think there is a need to make sure that such diversion to the QPS use from the soil fumigation does not take place, and alternatives to the QPS use are found quickly. Getting rid of methyl bromide from the agricultural practices has multitude of benefits. It not only saves the ozone layer, but it also improves the health of the farmers, because methyl bromide is extremely toxic to the human beings. And another very important drawback of methyl bromide is a wide spectrum pesticide, that it kills not only the pests which are harmful, but it also kills the pests which are useful for agricultural productivity. So methyl bromide is definitely not a substance for a long-term use in agriculture for the human beings. My message is the methyl bromide phase out will give what is called as a sustainable agricultural practices in the world, and they should pursue it. They should not pursue only in a soil treatment, but they pursue it in a quarantine and pre-shipment as well.
What is your expectations from this meeting in Port Khalib?
I would like first to say that Montreal Protocol was signed on 16th of September 87, and Egypt was the party number 7 that signed Montreal Protocol. Montreal Protocol is one of the most successful environmental agreement. It achieved more than 90% reduction of global production. Now we have 196 countries signed, are currently parties to Montreal Protocol, and I think this is an historical moment for the protocol, that all the countries all over the world, developed and developed countries, ratified Montreal Protocol. This is the second time for Egypt to host the meeting of parties to Montreal Protocol. The first one was in Cairo, 98. The meeting consists of 2 segments, preparatory segments, which will be from 4 to 6 of November 2009, and then the high-level segment will be on the 7th and 8th of November 2009. Parties to Montreal Protocol are attending to the meeting. We have all the UN bilateral implementing agencies, NGOs, and industrial bodies are represented also in the meeting. Several events are being held on the side of the meeting. We have a military workshop, which is for the first time through the meeting that we have such kind of workshop. We have MDI workshop, also a methyl bromide workshop. We have also an exhibition for ozone-friendly products is being held during this event. The Egyptian ozone layer protection program is one of the leading and successful programs of Article 5 countries, programs which includes Egypt in Montreal Protocol. Egypt assisted shared information with parties in Montreal Protocol regarding the ozone depleting substances, phase out and awareness programs. Egypt also completed the total phase out of ozone depleting substances used in the following sectors. We have aerosol manufacturing, solvents cleaning, domestic and commercial refrigeration, manufacturing for the foam. All these sectors, we worked on it on Egypt, and we phase out all these depleting substances. We have an ongoing phase out projects with methyl bromide. We have a strategy preparation for HFCs, hydrochlorofluorocarbons. Phase out is currently ongoing.
طبعا أنا توقعاتي في هذا الاجتماع الكبير توقعات إيجابية. أكيد راح نصل إلى مجموعة من القرارات. من أهم القرارات اللي تهم الدول النامية هي الاستمرار في مساعدة الدول النامية، وهذه طبعا واجب على كل الاتفاقيات والبروتوكولات، وخصوصا نحن أكثرية الدول جدد في الدخول إلى هذه الاتفاقيات، بحاجة إلى دعم مادي تقني معنوي، وأيضا البحوث والدراسات التي أجريت في الدول المتقدمة الدول النامية بحاجة لها، ويجب علينا جميعا أن نشترك في المحافظة على طبقة الأوزون، ولا علينا اللوم إذا لم نحصل على المساعدات الدولية. فهذا واجب دولي وواجب كوكبي على كل الدول المشاركة في المحافظة على هذا الكوكب، وعلينا أيضا أن نكون جزء من هذه المنظومة، والعراق الآن جزء من هذه المنظومة للمحافظة على طبقة الأوزون، وأيضا حتى التغييرات المناخية. نعم، طبعا الإجراءات التي اتخذتها العراق أول ما بدأنا واستلمنا الوزارة كان العراق لم ينضم إلى أي اتفاقية دولية خاصة بالبيئة. من أهم الاتفاقيات التي باشرنا بها هي اتفاقية الأوزون، بروتوكول مونتريال، وانضم العراق وانضمت كدولة في 2008، والآن احنا عضو فاعل في هذه المنظومة، وبدأنا بتشكيل الوحدة الوطنية في العراق وجمع كل البيانات اللازمة من الغازات الغير الصديقة للبيئة، الغير الصديقة لطبقة الأوزون، وجمعنا هذه الدراسات، ولدينا دعم من الصندوق المتعدد الأطراف أيضا، ومن يونيدو مع يونب، دعم للعراق بتنفيذ المشاريع الخاصة باتفاقية فيينا بروتوكول مونتريال، وجمعنا كل هذه البيانات. المفروض هو احنا كنا نتخلص من كل الغازات إلى 2012، بس توقعاتي احنا راح نكمل المشروع في 2011، ويعني خطونا خطوات جدا سريعة في هذا المجال، وتوقعاتي انه احنا نسبق كثير من الدول رغم انضمامنا خلال هو فقط سنة، لا نتجاوز يعني أقل من سنة، لكن الخطوات التي تخطوها العراق هي خطوات كبيرة جدا، وإن شاء الله نتمنى احنا نكمل الموضوع قبل يعني 2012.
What are the key impediments in future in implementation of the Montreal Protocol?
Since 1987, the Montreal Protocol has faced many impediments to implementation. There were questions of technology, finance, access to information, and access to experts that could be trusted in the choice of the best available technology to protect the ozone layer. The good news is that in every case, the Montreal Protocol solved these problems. At every level of the Montreal Protocol, there are experts on the assessment panels, experts at the Ozone Secretariat, and experts at Unep that can solve these problems. So I'm sure we'll have impediments in the future, but I'm absolutely confident that the Montreal Protocol will remove those impediments and will proceed not only to protect the ozone layer, but to go on to protect the climate.
Industry has created a problem and is also funding solution for the ozone layer depletion. As an industrialist, how would you reconcile this?
Ozone depleting substances have created a problem for the world as a whole, and it is essential that the industry contributes to reducing the impact of that. We at Navin Fluorine International have been manufacturing refrigerant gases, some of which have been ODS substances, and we have been very actively participating in all the deliberations and United Nations-led initiatives. And we are distinctly aware that this is a huge problem for the humanity as a whole, for the globe as a whole. And like everybody else, our industry also needs to contribute in resolving this issue, in solving this issue on a long-term basis. And as part of that process, we have agreed to phase out some of these gases, including the R22. In fact, the original mandate was to reduce the gases, to phase out them completely by 2040. We in India have taken the target with the accelerated phase out to phase them completely by 2030. And we have taken that into our stride. It's certainly going to impact the business. It has impacted the business. There has been, as you know, an upper cap now on the production and consumption of these gases. We'll have to transit sooner or later to the newer range of gases, and we as a responsible industry will do our best to move into that transition sooner or later.
I would like to ask you one particular question about your program, that how your program is contributing to help the ozone layer protection and towards climate benefit.
UNDP has been helping developing countries since the beginning of the Montreal Protocol to comply with its control targets, and we are happy to continue to do so. The challenges of the HCFC phase-out are many. Time is one. And of course, we need to help the countries to make sure that they get the technology transferred to them, technology that's mature, that's affordable. And now we are dealing with that also, looking at the opportunity to bring technologies that are climate friendly. We have done several pilot projects to validate technology. We hope to bring the lessons learned from these projects to be disseminated to other developing countries, and go from there and trying to make sure that we together meet the targets on our side on being successful in transferring the technology and bringing the financial and the technical assistance to countries, and countries on their side on complying with the Montreal Protocol control measures.
What are your impediments to implement the Montreal Protocol for the developing countries in the future?
We think that impediments existed in the past when we started with the CFC phase-out. For the HCFC phase-out, we have issues related to availability, affordability of technology, and transfer processes of new technology to the developing countries, and also making sure that we can look into technologies that are low GWP, that are not energy intensive, and we are trying to overcome those impediments like we did with the CFCs. It's a time issue. We just need to make sure that we focus on sectors and subsectors where those impediments either don't exist or are very small, and then we deal with the more difficult ones later.
MOP21 thus witnessed several pioneering initiatives and created the platform for successful exchange of vital information and policy perceptions.